there was a problem here now.
Now, getting it right from the root is fundamental, as the number one meets the custodians of culture and tradition. Federal government widens its doors in the aviation sector to admit more private sector participants, just as financial administrators meet to increase the financial inflow into the national treasury. This edition of your midday companion and news Panorama promises to be an interesting one as I take you through on the ride. My name is Ogechi Paul, and you're welcome. Traditional rulers in the country have been urged to prevail on their subjects in leadership positions to exhibit high sense of honor and patriotism in the discharge of their responsibilities so as to avoid inflicting pain and distress in the nation's poor. President Muhammadu Buhari, who made the plea while addressing the National Council of Traditional Rulers, particularly made the case for proper care of the senior citizens by state governors so that their selfless service to the nation can never be in vain. Stats correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Members of the National Council of Traditional Rulers, led by the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, were in the State House to formally rejoice with President Muhammadu Buhari for his return from vacation in good health, thereby keeping the nation's hope alive for a greater future.
To further assure you of our total support and commitment towards a very strong, stable, united Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Speaking on behalf of their colleagues in the 6 geopolitical zones, the royal fathers assured the president of their loyalty as well as continued support and cooperation in his genuine efforts at making Nigeria better.
We are here basically to speak with one voice, stand with you in taking this country to another level.
Mr. President, the service is your own because your agenda for Nigeria is good. That is to say, you have Nigeria in your mind.
We pledge to work for peace and stability in the region so that as one people and the unity provide a peaceful and stable environment to produce oil and sell it.
And we still continue to pray for you, Mr. President, for Allah to strengthen you more, to give you the courage to lift Nigeria to the level that every other nation in this world will envy.
President Muhammadu Buhari thanked the royal fathers for the show of support and solidarity, describing it as reassuring. His administration, he promised, will continue to live above board in the execution of the Change Nigeria project until the nation's majority feel the impact of governance in their living conditions.
I'm living with the problem of this country day by day, and mostly of ordinary people, and we certainly have to make sure that we completely secure Nigeria. And when we secure Nigeria, we have to secure its resources to pursue programs and projects that will better the lives of all our people, to live together, to work together.
The president, however, made a case for the royal fathers to show more interest in the way the people are governed by insisting that those in leadership positions always do the right thing.
You are living with the people, you know the actual problem more than us sitting here. So nobody can deceive anybody in this country on the management of our resources. It is very important that we make sure those above and below us looked after public resources as they look after their own resources. Please continue to pacify your people. Tell them to serve our people with no sympathy, and give them security.
During the event, prayers were offered for the president as well as unity, stability and development of Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The federal government has approved the concessioning of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and 2 others in the country. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo announced this at the 5th Quarterly Presidential Business Forum in Abuja. Joy Uzo was there.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the decision to concession some major airports in the country is part of enhancing efficiency needed to ease the process of doing business in Nigeria. He says the government will carry Nigerians along because their support and that of the private sector is crucial to boosting the economy.
We need to do a general overhaul, which is what we're looking at. But more importantly, we need to take it out of the public sector. We need to concession those airports. Fortunately, the Federal Executive Council has approved the concession of the Lagos Airport, Abuja, and Panorama. So we need to put this through an open, transparent process so we get, the best, companies in the world to come and take a look at it and see. And obviously, this is a very attractive proposition for many because this is a major hub.
On par, the Vice President says the federal government is harnessing renewable energy sources to deliver efficient electricity, especially for micro, small and medium enterprises in the country. Some key players from the private sector raised issues relating to the challenges hampering operations, especially those bordering on regulatory agencies, which are central to creating right atmosphere for business.
Even in areas where we are still trying to make progress, I think the progress we've made so far have been done largely from our interaction with the private sector. So we believe that, in many respects, we are becoming more and more of a responsive government.
They have recorded some successes. A lot of things have now improved. Also, we have to patronize Made in Nigeria. The local content is very important.
The Presidential Quarterly Business Forum was established to provide an opportunity for the economic management team to interact with members of the organized private sector on issues of common interest relating to the economy. In Abuja, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Buhari administration will continue to work towards achieving inclusive and sustainable economic growth despite falling oil prices and production volumes. This assurance is contained in a message by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, presented by the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, at the opening of a 3-day national workshop on alternative sources of revenue for sustainable development in states and local government councils in Nigeria, holding in Abuja. Chukwunonso Mabeze reports.
Records have shown that states and local governments in Nigeria are endowed with diverse, rich natural resources, which, if properly explored, will boost the nation's gross domestic product, GDP. These participants from states and local governments across the country have converged on Abuja at the instance of Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to chart a new course on ways of tapping into these economic potentials instead of what they refer to as the over-reliance on the monthly federal allocation, which has for several years resulted in an unsustainable economic culture. An assertion the Vice President, represented by the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, couldn't agree less.
Now we have built the foundations for growth, and we expect now there to be very, very rapid development, accelerating the pace of reforms at all levels.
New additional sources of revenue are being studied, and the Commission is designing ways and means of generating and collecting these revenues for the benefit of the states and the local governments.
Some participants speak on the importance of the workshop.
This workshop has really re-energized us to be in a better position to give our best. We look at various areas to actually bring many key factors that will improve the efficiency of governance.
It is expected that at the end of the workshop, practical and implementable fiscal resolutions on ways of making states and local governments more viable economically will be reached. From the International Conference Center, Abuja, Chukwunonso Mabeze, NTA News.
Some security matters now. As the Nigerian Air Force offensive on Boko Haram enters day 4, more damages have been recorded in the insurgents' enclave. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma brings us details.
This is the latest footage of the ongoing intensive bombings of Boko Haram hideouts in the Sambisa general area. The location, a Boko Haram settlement in Njimia, was confirmed to be meeting points for the terrorists after several intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions. The interdiction carried out by 2 fighter jets taking turns to drop bombs destroyed structures of the insurgents. Meanwhile, in anticipation of increased number of displaced persons with the ongoing airstrikes, the Air Force has commenced a medical intervention for IDPs with a target to perform routine eye and general surgeries on at least 150 IDPs.
A number of them have been blind with bilateral, as simple as bilateral cataract, for years before they even became IDPs. They are seeing light now for the first time that have been operated. Somebody will be carrying a mass in the abdomen that, if you see her, she's like a 9-month pregnant woman. Has now, for the first time now, the mass has been brought out and she's leading a normal life. Somebody with a very huge hydrocele and hernia together, who he has been carrying for a long time, has been treated, and now he walks freely back into the camp.
I have been here for 2 days now after my surgery, and I'm very happy. I'm very fine. Everybody in this ward have also been operated upon and are in stable condition. We thank the doctors, and also we thank the Nigerian Air Force. The Air Force Medical Center in Maiduguri is also rendering services to injured military personnel from the front lines. In Maiduguri, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
Reconstruction of public buildings in the areas affected by insurgency has been flagged off with Mishika local government area of Adamawa State. German Victims Support Fund General Theophilus Danjuma, who performed the groundbreaking ceremony and handover of building materials, and said hospitals and schools have also been earmarked for the same purpose. Mary Adomo has a report.
The reconstruction of Michika Local Government Secretariat is the first to be carried out by the Victim Support Fund in the area of public buildings, aside of the interventions done in the area of food and medical support since 4 years of Boko Haram attack in the northern part of Adamawa State. The demolition of the affected structures at the Michika local government ready for the reconstruction work have been done, building drawings approved and material supplied on site. Performing the groundbreaking ceremony, which signals hope for workers' conducive working environment, rekindle their hope to return to their duty posts. Retired General Renjima said the resilient posture of the Michika people epitomized patriotism and assured of more support and succor to settle down. The executive director of the fund, Professor Sondo Ochoache, said such interventions will continue and that they will be proactive to the end.
Our last intervention in this state was providing an additional 20 billion naira to the hospital in Michigan.
In Yola, Mary Adamu, NTA News.
Watching NTA Panorama, this is to remind you that you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Amidst ravaging floods, key agency in the environment sector appears before the National Assembly. Details when we return.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are
crisis. Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's be together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
The bulletin continues now. Now, more attention is now to be paid to the various categories of support staff for the nation's judiciary as a way of enhancing the performance of that arm of government and the dispensation of justice. This promise came from the Chief Justice of Nigeria at the opening of a national workshop for secretaries, registrars, court bailiffs, clerks and process servers of various courts in the country. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo has a report.
They are the first contact of the public to the courts, and behind every judgment of the judges are the contributions of these various categories of judicial workers. In fact, observers say that only about 25% of court service users ever have a direct contact with a judge. Other interactions are with either the registrars, court clerks, bailiffs, process servers and other court workers. This is why at their workshop, Chief Justice of Nigeria told them to take full advantage of the new commitment of the judiciary to increase their capacity for justice dispensation.
I would like to point out that your attitude and conduct towards court users must be that of responsibility and accountability in order to boost public confidence in the judiciary.
The National Judicial Institute, facilitators of the workshop, said that the theme, enhancing the operational capacity of judiciary workers, will boost the standing of those who are saddled with the day-to-day running of the courts.
I urge you all to always strive to attain excellence in the discharge of your duties.
In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
Talking philanthropy now, the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, has donated food items and other essential commodities to flood victims in Benue State to cushion the effect of their hardship. South correspondent Aliyu Kabir reports from Makadi, the Benue State capital.
This is ultra-modern international market, Makudi, the Benue State capital. It is one of the 21 internally displaced persons camp in the state, providing shelter to over 5,000 victims of flood that ravaged the area recently. Taking refuge in this camp are mostly women and children who are affected by flood, which resulted to the destruction of properties worth billions of naira. In complementing government effort to supporting the lives of the victims is what prompted the intervention of the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari. This prompted sending the delegation comprising the wife of the Nasarawa State Governor, Dr. Morotan Kwalamakura, who is also a leader of the delegation, the wife of the Kebbi State Governor, Dr. Zena Bagudu, as well as the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Dr. Hajosani, to sympathize with the victims and provide some relief materials.
Her Excellency has passion and is very passionate about the problems of women in Nigeria, and she felt so touched because she was away out of the country, but she saw what happened and she has decided to send her widow's mite to these women to be able to alleviate their suffering before they get back to their various homes.
The items donated include rice, tomato paste, gari, food seasoning, nutritional packs of food items for children and other essential commodities. Receiving the items on behalf of the Benue State government, the Deputy Governor of the state, Benson Abodu, described the humanitarian gesture of the wife of the president as bringing hope to the hopeless.
You have always been a brother to all of us, and all we can say is that God Almighty should bless you.
With the devastating flood which affected over 110,000 families cutting across 21 local government areas of the state, the wife of the president is calling on Nigerians to support the victims in whatever way possible. From Makudi, the Benue State capital, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
The National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency, Nigerian, is expected to generate 867 million naira in 2017 and over 1 billion in 2018 as revenue to the federal government. These details were released when officials of the agency appeared before the House Committee on Environment and Habitat to defend their budget. National Assembly correspondent Define Zumba has a report.
Environmental Standard and Regulations Enforcement Agency's revenue projection in 2017 consists of Vehicular Emission Control Program, which will have testing centers across the country and will go a long way in creating jobs for the people and ensure that only vehicles that are roadworthy ply the road to improve quality of the air and environment.
And how it's going to benefit government is that it's going to create employment. It's not going to be built by the government. And when your vehicle is not functioning, you've done that, okay, I realize that this is wrong. If I'm on the road, I'm going to be sanctioned. I'll take it to a mechanic. We're creating jobs for everybody. It's a win-win situation.
Committee Chairman Obid Nachidoka said, as an enforcement agency, Nigerian is expected to generate more revenue than it is doing currently.
And making sure that they put the monies in the right places. So not only strengthen them by law, is to strengthen them in terms of making sure that they actually carry out the objectives that they are created to do.
Members of the committee sought clarification on some grey areas in the budget. From the National Assembly, Ifani Izumba, NT News.
Our sports update is next with Adela Omakivia.
With 2 months to the November 30 deadline given by FIBA to fraction presidents of Nigeria Basketball Federation, Chairman Kano State Sports Commission Ibrahim Galadima has called for amicable resolution to avoid the wrath of FIBA. Ibrahim Galadima believes that the interest of Nigeria supersedes personal or individual interest.
For the good of the game, the two groups should come together and have an amicable solution, especially as FIBA has given Nigeria up to November 30th for resolution of the crisis. I hope the Nigeria Olympic Committee will do something urgent enough to resolve the matter so we'll be able to move forward.
And in tennis, Rafael Nadal on Sunday increased his Grand Slam titles to 16, 10 French, 3 US, 2 Wimbledon and 1 Australia Open titles. The world number 1 defeated South Africa's Kevin Anderson in 3 straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, 6-4, to achieve this feat on the final day of the 2017 US Open.
Of course, have been a great 2 weeks, increasing level of tennis, increasing level of confidence during that 2 weeks, and here I have this trophy with me again here in New York. Mean a lot to me now.
Rafael Nadal has won 5 titles this year, making it the 74th of his career. Barely 77 days in charge of Crystal Palace, and after 5 games played, Frank de Boer has been sacked as manager. The former Ajax boss, de Boer, only took over at the helm of affairs this summer after former boss Sam Allardyce helped Crystal Palace avoid relegation. Former England boss Roy Hodgson is expected to be his replacement, and should Hodgson take the job, he would be the club's 7th permanent manager in 6 years. With Sports Update, Adeola Omokivi, NTA News.
And next is a quick check on weather prospects. That's it, but before we go, a reminder that you can watch all our stories and much more when you log onto our website, www.nta.ng. And that has been it on Panorama. Do stay tuned for other news spouts in the course of the day's programming. And thanks for watching.
Imagine a station where you access information. Think of a station that creates awareness for national development. Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages. Documentaries, classroom and television, events coverage, children's programs and variety shows. Always stay tuned to NTA Knowledge on the StarTimes platform, channel 359. For partnership, sponsorship and advert placements, contact us on NTA Knowledge.